Hey everyone, Derek here, and
Kat, hi.
we're still in quarantine, and we're jumping into our quarantine three-step dance. Last class we kind of went over the catch and release, throw out, whatever you want to call it. We're evolving that step into doing some more fun with hip catches. So, hip catch starts off, the biggest thing with the hip catch difference is that we're going to be catching a partner, but in opposition energy, or what's called an opposition breaks. We're going to need to work on opposition breaks.
Yeah, so the guys are going to practice what it feels like to do an opposition breaks. So, ladies, all you're going to do is stand there. You're going to be an anchor for them to practice what this feels like so that later on they can do it in the dance.
Correct. You are my grounding point.
I am, yes.
So, literally, we're leads. You're going to be doing your basic. And so we're normally doing da, tap, and 1, 2, tap. But now I'm going to put my arm around her and kind of just hold her on the side. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to break sideways and opposition or oppose upon that tap. So I'm going to go 1, 2, basic, 1, 2, tap out, 1, 2, basic, 1, 2, tap out. And so as you can see, that is just sending some energy this way. I'm actually putting some of my weight over here. My arm extends a little bit, but she really feels a little bit of a tug there as I'm opposition breaking, or I'm tapping or breaking out, and then it pulls us back in. So it creates this big extension of energy, which is then going to be used in these moves.
Yeah, and the one kind of, if the one thing that you want to think of when we talk about opposition breaks is that when the guys normally when we're doing our basic and the guys are doing their left right tap, we told you to keep that weight on the right foot as you're doing the tap, because then you're gonna have to go back and tap on that leg again. So this time you're actually gonna be on that tap, you're gonna be moving your body weight here, but then you have to return to then take that step.
Right. So it's 2 points of compression or extension. I'm doing my basic, and then I'm tapping and putting some energy and compression here to bounce back quickly, but also you'll see in these moves, that's why I have this grounding point in the person who I'm opposing to help bring me back in.
Right.
Alright, so now getting into the first move, which is essentially building off of the catch and release, which we did yesterday. We'll do one quick demo of a catch and throw out or catch and release. So we're going to go 1, 2. Yesterday we created the perpendicular frame, and then what I pretty much just did is I sent her out within the basic. You know, everything was same, no really opposition break. That was a catch and throw out. Big difference here, I'm going to be catching in the same way. I caught her on my right arm, but here I'm going to be opposition breaking as we go into that move. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. One more time, starting this way, I think? No, starting this way. So we go 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. So now you just saw that as she was coming here, originally we were here, and I kind of just hung out with her as a catch. But as we now evolve, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to hold this hand for now, just to have 2 leads of comfort for her, using this hand and my catching hand to send her back into that hip, the most basic hip catch.
Yeah, and for us ladies, our footwork is exactly the same. Our body position changes just a little bit on this. So normally when we did the regular throw out, we were perpendicular to him. We were doing our tap to the back, but we could put our arms around his side and there was like this L shape. This time, what happens is he's gonna do that J, but since he's opposing breaking this way, our body travels just a little bit further and we open up. So this is really uncomfortable. You don't really want to put your arm behind him because then you're tweaking your shoulder. So we'll talk about styling later with the arms. But for now, just kind of wrap your arm here around your body to then be able to go out.
Right. And that's one of the reasons where this is good to hold on to in the beginning. The end hip catch you're going to see is not using this hand, but practice with this hand first because it gives you some comfort in leading her back and not solely relying on this hand.
Mm-hmm. And we feel on a hip catch just a little bit more momentum on that J turn than if he was just bringing me in really gently into a crossbody lead.
Yes.
I feel it just a little bit like it's almost over rotating because of the way his body is moving. His arm is over rotating, which allows me to then just do that little opening up. And because I'm opening up my body a little bit more, you'll notice that my tap is now sideways because I'm not facing this way, I'm facing this way.
Right. Well, you don't turn too much though. Because if you turn too much, what's going to happen, followers, is my hand's just going to slip out. So that's not necessarily bad. I still have this hand to control and bring her back. But when we start getting into a true hip catch, if you rotate too much, your hip's going to disappear. So when we get into the next move, I kind of want to make sure that I'm reaching out and I have a strong connection and comfort onto her waist. So that way, if she does rotate, I still can lead her back, and I've got her backside.
Not my backside. Not the backside, guys. The lower backside.
Yes. All right. So that's the kind of most basic introductory start of a hip catch. What we're going to do is that's kind of like one. Now we're going to do 1B, or it's going to be part 2 of this step, where we're going to start the same sort of lead. So I'm going to do that J turn, but as soon as I finish the J turn, I'm going to let go of this hand. As I opposition break, I'm catching her on that right, with my right hand, getting that hip again, and sending her back out. Footwork-wise, lead-wise, everything's the same. I'm just, as soon as I do that little bit of a J turn, or J lead, I go 1, 2, tap, and 1, 2, tap. We just lose that hand. She kind of feels, she knows that since I'm stepping out of the side and my hand's kind of raising, she knows that I'm going to be catching her and stopping her momentum. She's not going to run right past me. And then I can send her gently back. Okay, before we get into any more hip catches, any more nuances, a quick note to the leaders. As we move forward in this whole lesson and demo to music and everything else, you're going to see my footwork change. I'm essentially doing the same thing, I'm just playing with different ways of placing my feet. So what we've shown you in the beginning is me keeping the basic pattern where it's kind of been left, right, tap, or I've been doing left, right, opposition break, tap, and tap. So now instead of doing those moves, I'm going to slightly change them up and see what else I can do, stylizing, or just whatever feels more comfortable to the music, etc. So at the beginning, we did first one, part A, it's going to be ba, ba, tap, ba, ba, opposition tap, da, da, tap. Next one is going to be a little different where I'm going to actually, as I start leading these hip catches, I'm going to go step forward, because what that's going to do is it's going to create more space between us. Forward and across. So you're going to see kind of, I'm doing just slightly in front of my body. I'm not lunging big because I still have that tap. So it's going to be small steps. I go forward slightly across, gives a little bit more space between us. Then when I opposition break and tap, we're going to be a little bit further apart, might be a little more of a stylizing look, and then cross back, back, tap. So just quickly with the same sort of hip catch we were doing before, I'll demo that one. We go 1, cross, tap, and ya, da, ba, and ya, da, ba, and back, back, boom. third one is going to be something new we haven't taught yet. What we haven't taught yet is essentially the leader changing the timing, so to speak. I'm actually just not doing much. Instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, instead of doing 6 steps, I'm going to lead going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and tap. So essentially I'm just doing 3 steps instead of my normal 6. 1 is a full count of 3 onto this, into the opposition catch, into the opposition break, coming back for 2 beats, and tapping. Quick demo?
Yeah, why don't we show this one?
Yeah. So we go 1, 2, we should just demo that one more time. Let's do the basic one first, so that way you kind of see what I normally do. I go ya, da, da, and then ya, da, da, and now normal, or the slow one, you saw my feet pretty much didn't move. And that could just be for fun or whatever. Let's do one more time. I'm going to let go of her hand this time. Go 1, 2, tap, and 1, 2, tap. And make sure you kind of just recollect on that tap to kind of be in time with her to get ready with that next step. So we're going to bring her in 1, 2, hip, catch, 1, 2, tap. This is just like your normal underarm turn to the right. You're sending her to the right hand side. Again, putting the hip out or hand out to catch the hip. Part 1 of this is again holding onto this hand, making sure we have a 2-point connection so that way she's comfortable in this opposition break. And then as I then bring her forward, she returns comfortably. Any notes for the followers?
No, but followers, you're doing exactly the same. You're going step, step, tap. So the footwork is the same. The only difference is instead of turning towards him, you are now turning away from him, and like the underarm turn that we practiced. And then here, because it's a wind and unwind, you can just kind of shoot that hip out a little bit for a little bit of stylizing. So you've wound in one way and then you unwind and then you just go back.
Next evolution of that, pretty quick. We're going to just run right through it. Just if you have any questions, you always just send us some notes. We're going to now initiate the same way. We're going to raise this hand. As we finish this into the opposition break, I'm going to just let this hand go. I'm going to keep my hand on her back, as that is the point, the hip catch. And then again, send her out the same way. I have both hands. We go 1, 2, perpendicular. And then from this point, I'm pushing forward with my arm, but I start pulling back with my hand a little bit. 1, 2, I reach out, I get that tap. And so here, I'm still opposing her, but I'm not really like moving this way. I'm just tapping my foot and anchoring. And then we go 1, 2, back. So if we were just to kind of, I know it gets a little complicated with people here in the way, so what I'm going to just do is the footwork for the leads just by themselves. It's going to be 1, 2, tap. And so here, I'm kind of here. It's not really a big opposition break. It's just perpendicular. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead that hand forward, letting go of this hand. I go 1, 2, tap. And then here I'm reaching out and I'm catching the hip. And then here, I'm on this foot that I tapped. I'm going to step forward onto that foot for 1, turn, and now here she's kind of leading back that way after I kind of catch her hip and send back. I'm going to step back on this right foot and tap.
Yeah, and leaders, also one thing to make it just a little bit easier. So if we're in this position here, and you're going to be dropping this hand, right? But don't drop it and just take it away. This is when you actually drop it, just lower it a little bit, and as you can see, I kind of walk into that hand. You don't really even need to grab your girl because your hand's already there.
True, right. So yeah, good point. You don't need to, if you pull your hand away too far, you're going to be trying to reach out again. So let's do that one more time. It was a good note. We're going 1, 2, tap, and 1, 2, tap. So if I kind of just calmly let go of her hand, but leave my hand and arm up, she's going to be moving right into it.
Yes.
Right.
So normally we were coming out this way. In this case, I'm taking a step forward, but because he's kind of pulling on this hand, he's asking me not to continue rotating to my left, but to actually unwind to my right. And then I feel that his hand is right there. I can go no further. And then all I do is just step out.
And there's something else we wanted to add.
So we wanted to add the fact that a lot of times when we were showing the crossbody leads or to get into a two-hand hold from the crossbody lead or the throw out, so we've been showing just a regular we unwind, right? Well, let's say the guy wants to have two hands to be able to do all these wraps and all these really crazy things with two hands. There's a really easy way to do that, and as the girl is leaving, he just lifts up his hand and follows her arm down, and it just locks into place. So now we can do, you know, the hip catches or whatever it is that we want to do.
Right. Yeah, and so it's once you feel more comfortable leads in terms of streamlining one move to another move to another move, it's really nice. And even still, you can still take a moment and do a basic in between if you're not certain. So what we can do is, let's say we do a catch and throw out or catch and release. I can still do this, and maybe I'm like, okay, wait, I need a moment. All right, now I know what I'm doing. So you can still have your basics in between, but what this does is these little nuances of how we do a catch and then maintain this. So what I'm doing is on her back, actually, if I can rotate you this way, I have caught her here. What I'm going to do is I'm kind of rotate my hand and my palm up, and that way I can not just kind of trace her. And by that point, as I'm tracing the first half of her arm, she already knows that, okay, you know, he wants this connection. So she's going to continue to place her hand down into that.
Yeah, because otherwise, if I don't feel that, then I'm just gonna be like,
Teacher?
So, and then that way, if I feel that, then I'm like, okay, well, I can't do my crazy shit. So you guys practice that? It's a lot of, there's a lot of similarities, and then once you start to notice the little differences that happen with the leads, which direction you're going, it's going to be a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, those are really fun, and you can play with those, and you can stylize them how you want, and it's just, you can make it your own, which is basically what we're saying.
Yeah. Some of these are a little bit more advanced. That third version we showed you, getting into more of that perpendicular, crossed arms, undoing it, changing the rotation, catching the hip, that's the tricky move. Walk through it slowly, or if you need to wait for later, wait for later.
Yeah, great. See you next time.
Have an awesome day.